Humble beginnings. Everybody's got one. For Big Boy of Outcast, it's West Savannah. For Nas, it was the 41st side of Queens. For 8-Ball and MJG, Orange Mound. And for me, it's Benson Avenue. Benson Avenue was where I was raised for the first 13 years of my life. It's also the first place where I purchased music from. Close by the NPR offices in downtown St. Paul, you'd catch me at the Music Land copping De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising. And little did I know, after this little small town life, when I moved up to the suburbs at the age of 13, I'd be right back in this same neighborhood, purchasing music again as my first vinyl as a DJ. Today I'm talking with Tim Wilson, the owner and proprietor of Urban Lights Music over on the Midway of St. Paul. All this and more today on Tacos and Tastemakers. When I link up with Tim, we meet up at a spot that's not too far from the house I grew up in on Benson Avenue. Tavial Grill off West 7th and Lexington is owned by brothers Victor and Tanis Alquicira and has won the praise of everyone, including BuzzFeed, as one of the best taco spots in the U.S. Friend Tim Wilson, welcome to the show.
What's up, sir?
So good to see you. I like the
Glad
fact that we
here.
Totally didn't coordinate.
Yeah, no, we didn't call each other or anything.
We didn't call each other.
This just happened.
It's just legit happened.
Definitely.
Exactly. So, like, you know, every time I'm in the shop, you always talk about the importance of this, man. Why don't you talk about your personal connection to it?
I mean, my personal opinion, and you've been there numerous times. We have arguments about this all the time.
So many times.
And,
so many times.
At the end of the day, I feel it's the best rap album ever made.
Absolutely.
In the history of rap albums. And I was blessed enough to actually be in the presence of a lot of that album when it was being recorded.
That's incredible, man. I wonder what, like, you know, a lot of people always, you know, wonder about, like, to be a fly on the wall of that situation and wondering what's going on with that and, like, being able to see your favorite artist in their, like, working environment. I mean, walk me through that. Like, what was that like for you? Was there a specific song that you were kind of, like, chills on the spine, like, hairs raising back of your neck, like, type thing?
It never was like a particular song. It was just the whole situation as it were. You know, at the end of the day, I was in New York with a partner of mine working on a project for Daddy-O from Stetsasonic.
Ah, yes.
And,
legendary Stetsasonic.
Yeah, legendary. The first band, the first hip-hop band, original. And he got a solo situation with Island Def Jam. And so we actually, funny story, we met him at the Black Music Awards in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Absolutely.
Pete Rhodes, shout out to Pete Rhodes.
Absolutely.
One of his big event every year. Mm-hmm. And we were performing, rap group I was in at that time back when I used to rap. Rap group I was in.
Whoa, you used to rap?
Yeah, man.
Man, this I did not know. Do tell.
Yeah, I used to have a group called the Inner Sanctum.
The Inner Sanctum.
Yeah, believe it or not, you know. We were on the same showcase with Slug.
Absolutely.
And so we lost. Mm-hmm. We were very upset. Mm-hmm. Slug won, but that's the homie, so it's all good.
Shout out to Slug one time.
Shout out. So I remember we were standing off to the side of the stage, and this cat comes and he punches me in the stomach, basically. And I'm like, what the, it's about to be a problem.
Absolutely.
All the guys around me are like, hey, who is this dude? It was Daddy-O from Stetsasonic. And he goes, you're not breathing. I'm like, I'm not breathing. He's like, you're not breathing when you're rapping. Man, you gotta work that out. He said, but I like what you guys do. Do you have a card? So, of course, we're like, yeah, we got a card. But, you hear that a million times from people. Like, give me a card. I'll call you. And it just so happens I was out of town, and I came home. I hit my answering machine back when we had answering machines that played messages.
Absolutely.
And this guy's yelling and screaming on my answering machine like, yo, call me ASAP. This is incredible what you sent me. Like, I want to fly you guys out to New York, man, and work on my album. So we go to New York, and literally we're sleeping on the floor in a studio in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
In Daddy-O's brownstone.
Yeah.
And every day, Notorious B.I.G used to come over.
Wow.
And they were working on Ready to Die and other projects. Junior Mafia was being created. Lil' Kim was being created. All that kind of stuff. And so just sit and watch records being made. And it was just a process. It was incredible. And I remember even, and so our thing was like when the studio was done for the night, we would record our own stuff, right?
Absolutely.
That was part of the deal. Like, because we didn't want any money, we didn't want anything. We just wanted the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So we're sitting recording our records, and I remember, Daddy-O was playing a couple of the joints we had worked on one night, and Biggie was like, "Yo, Money, you dope." And I was like, nah, I appreciate it, bro, but no, like,
this ain't it, man.
Oh, man.
This ain't it, Chief.
It was a whole nother level. Like, from what we were doing here, it was like not even the same atmosphere.
Absolutely.
And literally, I can remember rewriting songs like every night because I didn't want people to hear me.
I remember like as a kid growing up and like purchasing De La Soul, for example, up at the Music Land that was in the Wells Fargo Tower downtown.
Yep.
And as well, like, flash to 5 years later or like, 10 years later when I'd see you up on the decks, like sitting there scratching out mixtapes for people that were like doing the daily request stuff and coming in and purchasing my first vinyl from you. I think, when I purchased Atmosphere's Overcast and Musab's first album, like I purchased them on vinyl from you. Yeah. So like for me, like, being able to find you guys in St. Paul and not knowing that it was a full-fledged music store and like what you guys were like in your heyday. I mean, can you walk me and the people at home through that as far as like, what it was, the importance to have Urban Lights be here in St. Paul and like to be the outfit that you were?
Well, basically how it came to be was this. So I'm DJing. The world's changing. Mm-hmm. I get out of college. Mm-hmm. I need a job. Mm-hmm. I become a salesman. Mm-hmm. And as a salesman, you have a lot of time to yourself sometimes.
Absolutely.
Turned out St. Paul became one of my territories. I used to hang out there so much that the owner, John Carnahan, was like, and they had 7-8 stores at the time, right? Mm-hmm. But the music industry's changing, right? Mm-hmm. Because now Best Buy, Target, they can sell 9-inch nails, they can sell, all the indie stuff that Northern Lights made a big name off selling and Electric Fetus was selling. Now all of a sudden it's available at Target because it's mainstream all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
So they decided they were going to shut down a couple of stores. So, after, me hanging out there for a couple years, they were like, hey, man, you're here all the time. We're going to sell this location. Like, would you be interested? And I'm like, really? No, we're going to sell this location in St. Paul. Would you be interested? And I was like, well, again, me and my buddies used to joke about having a record store all the time. So I called all the guys I used to joke with. Mm-hmm. It was like 3 of us. And they were like, are you really serious? We can get a record store? Yeah, it exists. Northern Lights. It's up for sale. So we went through 3-4 month process, back and forth, financials, this, that. Right. Investigation, making sure we're making the right investment. Right. All ponying up a certain amount of money. September 3rd, 1993, we got a record store.
1993. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
incredible.
That is how it happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the first thing when people walk into the store, I'm always still like taken aback that, I look at Urban Lights a lot like the New York Times, like not New York Times. Look at it a lot like going into New York and you in Times Square, and all of a sudden you amidst the skyscrapers.
Definitely.
And you just do the whole stare up thing for 5 minutes.
For sure.
And so when I go into Urban Lights, it's the same type of feeling. I mean, for the people that don't know at home, like, tell them some of the popular in-stores that you've had as far as, like, back in that heyday.
I mean, we've had, I can't even really keep count anymore, but, and again, this is back when the music industry cared.
Absolutely.
Record stores were important.
Absolutely.
We were needed back then.
Absolutely.
To help break this music that was becoming so popular.
Absolutely.
I mean, everyone from Naughty by Nature to Destiny's Child, first album Destiny's Child, when they were all, Latavia and Latoya were still in the group.
Absolutely.
Redman, Ja Rule, Eric Sermon, the Duck Down Family, Buckshot Shorty,
Absolutely.
and Smith and Wesson, Common, Young Common, Young Common and Daddy-O, matter of fact, did it same day in store. Bahamadia, Outkast. I can remember we had Outkast in the store.
Yeah.
And we cleared out all the CDs, turned it into a rap battle royale kind of ring in the middle.
Yeah.
And I remember Slug actually rapped against Andre 3000.
Get out of here.
Held his
There
own.
is no, oh, wow.
He probably doesn't even remember. He probably doesn't remember, but he did, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was, we had some good, definitely, if the walls could talk, copyright Kendrick Lamar,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure, man. Absolutely. And then, as far as, the music industry changing and stuff like that, you were telling me a lot about this thing called the Black Music Coalition.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could tell me a little bit more about the Black Music Coalition and what stores it was made up of, and how you were one of the few Black-owned and operated ones from St. Paul that was a part of that outfit.
Well, we made it very, very important to ourselves when we opened up that we wanted to become not just the local store anymore. We wanted to be recognized on a national basis. So,
For sure.
So I take the sales background I have, and I introduce myself to every record label. Company, big or small, had a headquarters here in Minnesota.
Absolutely.
So every artist, every label, everybody had to come here eventually to sell their wares.
Absolutely.
80, 90% of the music sold in the United States all came out of Minnesota at one particular time.
Yes.
When it was booming.
Absolutely.
Definitely very, very important.
Long Beach.
In hip hop, Long Beach, Snoop Dogg on top of the roof.
Absolutely.
Filming his first video. They're still rocking. Who else? The mentor, the godfather of the whole indie music store situation was George Daniels, George's Music Room in Chicago.
Yes.
We are because of him.
Absolutely.
He like I said, when I say he's the godfather of it all, like literally, I've been to meetings, I've been at record labels, and presidents of labels are like, hey. Thank you for coming, George.
Absolutely.
What can we do for you?
Absolutely.
And he was one of the only people who had that kind of respect and that. So again, we kind of all followed in line with him. But he was high up in the coalition.
Absolutely.
And I believe he has his stores are not on the South Side anymore, but they are the only stores in the airport in the United States.
Wow.
So yeah, in O'Hare and Midway.
Wow.
In Chicago. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So there's still a few of us out here.
Absolutely.
But I've seen a lot of people come and go.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you had mentioned as well that at one point in time, you guys were pretty responsible for pushing a lot of what we consider the golden age music of the early to late 90s as well as the early 2000s to a greater degree as well.
Definitely.
You guys again, when I go into your shop, I'm seeing the platinum plaques thanking you for helping push Tina Marie's Cash Money album to go gold.
Yeah.
Or for pushing 7 million copies from every Sony release of urban contemporary music, from Nas' Stillmatic to Destiny's Child.
And that was all coalition based.
And that was
everything. I mean, they would, again, the labels would come to us and say, hey, we this Nas kid is good, but we need your help. And so again, we all go back to our respective neighborhoods, our respective communities, and good music moves. And so when we're introducing Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style, and there's a line down the block at a midnight sale, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Where we probably went through almost 1,000 units in 2 hours of Doggy Style. When Tupac came out with All Eyes on Me, same thing, line around the block at midnight. They don't do this anymore.
Absolutely.
But things like that, we would help break artists from an independent level, from a national level. Any artist that came to Minneapolis, if they were coming, if 50 Cent was coming to holler at Sony, Universal, Warner, whoever, Musicland, Target, Best Buy, he had to come stop at Urban Lights. You know, that's just kind of what it was.
Absolutely.
And you multiply that times every independent store in the country, you get a lot of record sales. I had Run DMC. I had Run DJing.
Wow.
In the store.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he actually spun records for like, you know, he was like, yeah, just give me a stack of records. And he starts DJing for like an hour.
That is incredible.
And most people forgot he started out as a DJ. He was Curtis Blow's DJ. So,
wow.
You know, back when Curtis, before the whole Run DMC thing. So,
obviously the humble beginnings of stuff and things of that nature.
DJ Run.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't know about that.
No, a lot of people don't know.
Exactly. So I mean, like, you know, seeing that from an in-store perspective, what was that like for you? Just like being able to be like, oh my God, I can't believe they're here. Like, wow.
No, I mean, because one, I'm a fan still.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so it was weird for me just to be able to watch, like, well, you know, at the time we had the box. That was the.
I remember the box.
And you know, videos would only come on a certain amount of time, but when they finally did come on, it would be Run DMC. It would be Naughty by Nature, people like that, and then, you know, circa spin it ahead 10 years or whatever, and I'm like, yo, these guys are really standing next to me. Like, I know these guys. I have, you know, outside of music industry relationships with these guys, and I used to watch their videos all the time. So I just always thought it was important as the store to do something different, and that was to have the in-stores. You know, people always had artists stop by, but what we try to do is kind of a give back for the neighborhood, is to have people come and do something different. So the mascot comes into the store.
Yeah.
Right? Store's packed, the mascot's bumping around, doing things, he's shaking hands, taking pictures with people. And the mascot goes outside and he stops the MTC and he's telling people to get off the bus and everything, and the bus driver's kind of getting upset. He's kind of 1 foot on the bus, 1 foot off, and he's like, yo, come in the record store, get my album. And he takes the hat off and it's Redman. People freak out.
That is incredible.
They freak out, you know.
Wow.
But Mint Condition here locally, you know, one of the greatest bands ever, you know.
Pretty Brown Eyes
all
is
from
gem.
St. Paul. You know, I remember when their big, their second album, What Kind of Man Would I Be, and stuff like that on it. You know, just a huge give back to the neighborhood. Everybody's in St. Paul is there. They're playing the album. You know, the guys are feeling the love and kind of helpfully kicked it off well for them. Same with Next. Next's first record they ever had.
Absolutely.
With Too Close on it, and Butter Love. They're in store. Just crazy amount of people. You know, Ja Rule, so many people there for Ja Rule.
Absolutely.
Pre-Fry Fest, Ja Rule.
Pre-Fire Fest.
Pre-Fire Fest, Ja Rule.
Oh my God.
You know, man, it was just crazy. I mean, people would just hang. Music would be playing, Outkast, you know, Naughty by Nature. That's how we met them, became really good friends, do a lot of things music-wise with them since then.
Absolutely.
So, I always felt it was important to kind of mix in and give back a little bit and give people a chance to meet people. You know, the main reason why we named ourselves Urban Lights is we wanted to be an urban light in the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And so I always felt like, you know, I see so many cats that they were 5 and 6 and 7 years old and now have graduated college. So,
absolutely.
You know, I'm making myself really old now. But they come back in and they go, man, you know, I used to come here, buy my tapes and CDs with my mom and dad. And, you know, I kind of always just, it was real cool seeing, you know, just an African-American man behind a counter, you know, selling me music. And I knew I could do something else. And, you know, I ended up in college, I'm in business, I do this and that. And it was cool to get that love, to know that people were watching, and it was just more than some cats with a record store selling music, but it was just a business aspect of it. It was just a community aspect of it, you know, us being prevalent.
Absolutely.
It meant something to some people, so I thought all that was important.
And I mean, you know, from 1993 to now, which is like probably almost about 30 years or so in the business now, as far as like running Urban Lights, I'm probably miscalculating that number by crazy. You know what I'm saying? but that's just me doing the quick math in my head, like looking at 1993, 2003, 2013. You know what I'm saying? Almost 30 years now.
Almost 30.
Yeah. So I mean, like, what does the future hold next for you?
We are going to continue on.
That,
We're going to continue bringing St. Paul the best music we can, the best information we can.
Absolutely.
Continuing to grow and continue to change as the industry changes, continue to change as the neighborhood changes.
Because there's always going to be, and I think that's what people fail to understand, especially in the midst of this physical media comeback nowadays, and the need for tangible music, and the need for good tangible music.
Yeah, that's never going to change.
I don't think that cats can be all serratoed up and things of that nature until the cows come home, but nothing's going to replace that feeling of just like holding like a copy of Minnie Riperton, or like finding that OG first press copy of Blue Train, or
Earth, Wind and Fire,
or
Maze,
Earth, Wind and Fire, Maze,
Isley Brothers.
You know what I'm saying?
You're never going to be able to replace that. And that is why you look at all these chains now, and they're all selling vinyl again now.
It's interesting to see how that industry has come full circle, especially with the physical media comeback.
Yeah.
And especially with, now cassettes are coming back into the fold.
Cassettes are coming back to it. And you take like Best Buy, I'm hearing Target, but getting rid of CDs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you look and they all got vinyl now.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's funny to see everything kind of coming back full circle. But we've never changed. We continue to broker out collections of DJs who are computer guys now. And, and got too much vinyl in their garage and in their attics and basements.
I remember.
And it's cool because it becomes a way to kind of transfer the music onto somebody else. And now, whether it's a younger person, a collector, what have you, the music just continues to move on and move on. And whether it becomes part of a new record somebody's making, or just becomes something at the house that you throw on when you're throwing Prince's Purple Rain on for their cats when they come over on the weekend or whatever, the music just continues to move. And that's, again, what we're going to do. Continue to move, continue to grow.
Absolutely. Urban Lights has been like so important to me and so pivotal to my upbringing, and like, the job with this interview was just to show how important it was and how important it is for the culture to really respect their independent music retailer, and specifically ones that are Black owned and operated or owned by other POC. So it means a lot to still have you around in the neighborhood and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you.
Even in the face of an ever-changing St. Paul around us.
We're going to keep rocking. It's all good.
That's all we can ask for.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for this time, man.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Tacos and Tastemakers. Remember, if you enjoy this content, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I'd like to thank my guest once again, Tim Wilson, the owner and proprietor of Urban Lights Music. Tell them what you got going on, Tim.
Music, and more music, man. Come on down and see us. 1449 University, the heart of the Midway in the St. Paul area.
And that's all there is to it. And I'm your man, Egypto Knuckles, saying peace.